Hey everybody, welcome back to Cottage Industry Fibers. I am so glad to have you here and I really appreciate you sticking around and waiting forever for the next episode to come out. This is just a quick intro that I'm filming to explain a little bit of what's been going on the last couple months and to also just thank you, like I said, for sticking it out with us. But so there was quite a while where Kristen and I were trying to work out our schedules to get back together and podcast again. And it just wasn't coming together at all. And each week would pass and we'd push it off a couple of days and then it just wasn't happening because we were both so crazy busy. Well, then I got together with Karina, our other friend, who is a designer on Ravelry and actually has published in quite a few magazines and some exciting things coming out from her. And she and I recorded a podcast. This was actually like a month ago. And so we sat there and we recorded the whole podcast. And I get up and I look at the camera, it's off. It's completely shut off. So luckily it only cut off like the last 5 minutes or so, but just so that you're aware, there's going to be kind of an abrupt ending. It's not really going to have a, hey, bye, see you later, except for the bit when I come back on at the end. I'll explain that in a second. But anyway, so because that happened, I knew I wanted to film this intro and stick it on the beginning and kind of explain what's going on. And then I got so crazy busy again and really focused on Spinzilla coming up and Rhinebeck coming up and life being crazy. That a whole nother month went by before I'm actually doing this. So I apologize. I am getting this out now. I am going to not spend a whole lot of time editing the video with Karina because I just want to get it posted. It's kind of one of those things, you got to get the first one done again and then from there on out, get on a better schedule. On that note, I think the current plan is probably going to be to try to film every 10 days to 2 weeks, right in that area. And if Kristen's available, we'll film with Kristen. If Karina's available, we'll film with Karina. And if nobody's available, I'll just throw out a fast episode on my own. And try really not hard not to be too terribly boring for y'all. But anyways, so that's where we're at. That's what's going on. This is just a quick video that I'm snapping in my husband's kind of workshop office area where I used to record, because it's the fastest and easiest thing to do, but I'm realizing now that I'm totally blending into the black chair. But y'all are cool, and I know you don't care, and so I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching, and enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, thanks for coming to Cottage Industry Fibers. My name is Kim, and you can find me as Continental Kim on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. And with me today I have a new friend. Well, she's not a new friend. She's been a friend for a long time, but she's new to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Karina Ferguson, and you can find me as Picnic Knits everywhere on the interwebs.
And you also design now under not Picnic Knits anymore, right?
Well, and have designs under Karina Ferguson because I have designs in magazines and an upcoming book. But yeah, you can find me as Karina Ferguson, but Picnic Knits is my username pretty much everywhere.
Oh, cool. All right, well, I first want to say I'm very sorry for taking so long to record again. I think a lot of people took a break over the summer just because it's so hard to get all the summer schedules to work. Yeah, so just getting everybody's schedule to work out to where you could record, and then, trips and all that stuff, they get in the way, and apparently some people play football.
Yeah, we've been doing all football all the time. We had all football practices all summer, and now every Friday night, which is normally our knit night, and Kim is quite put out,
yes,
is taken up by football games because I have 2 teenage football players.
Well, so. Then I'm going to have dinner with my mini people tomorrow night.
Okay, but they don't knit, and they don't understand.
No, that's okay. That's all right. They watch me knit.
Okay. And mock you a little bit?
No, they just kind of look and go, huh. That's
Yeah, I knitted at football games, and the parents are like, "Oh yeah, that's Jeremy and Justin's mom. She's the knitting mom."
Oh, that makes sense. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into our works in progress. I'm gonna go ahead and start with, okay, so I haven't brought everything I've been working on. I haven't brought everything I'm spinning or anything like that, just because we do have a certain amount of time that we want to try to stay within. So I'll just talk about a couple of things.
My house isn't that big.
Yeah, we're at Karina's house, if you couldn't tell by the Karina Ferguson banner in her workshop behind us. But it's actually pretty nice to be able to come to such a pretty workspace. We'll have to snap some pictures and show them. It's somewhere in the podcast. Maybe at the end. I have a lot of pictures of a shop that we visited that I'll probably put most of those at the end of the podcast as well. And so I'll put pictures of your workshop there too.
Okay, great.
Cool. Okay, so anyways, what I'm working on right now, the reason I brought it is because I think I'm going to be working very specifically on it for a while. There's a, well, it's a knit-along. We're doing a knit-along.
Kim is not a monogamous knitter.
Not usually.
No, she's not.
No.
Not unless I put her on a deadline.
Well, yeah, then I'm knitting like at 2 a.m. That's okay. But anyway, so there is a knit-along going on, and this is called Hitofude. It is actually a Japanese pattern. There's really not much to show you yet, but it's really cool construction. And here's just the lace pattern. I don't know how well you can see that. I'm knitting it out of my Cormo hand spun. So,
That's nice.
oh, thank you. But it's a really cool construction pattern where you essentially do a big rectangle of lace.
Mm-hmm.
And then you close the two ends of the rectangle.
Okay.
And that becomes the sleeves.
Right.
And then you kind of pick up, and I don't want to say exactly how everything works because, it's a paid for pattern. But essentially you wind up picking up a certain portion and then you come down from there for the rest of the cardigan. So it's kind of like a shrug, but then there's the bottom that gets attached on.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I'll put a picture of the cardigan up as well, but a lot of people have been making it, and it really seems to work for a lot of body styles. So I'm hoping to have it done. Well, the knit along, I don't know how long they're going with the knit along. It's on the completely pointless and arbitrary.
Completely pointless and arbitrary.
I don't remember if it's there or if it's on the spinning one. I can't see. I don't even know where I'm at.
She'll check and she'll put a link so you know.
They know that's how it usually works. Oh, and I forgot to say, we're recording on September 4th, and this is episode 10.
Oh yes, we had to look that up though, just to let
Yeah,
you know.
I know. It's that bad that it's been that long. But anyway, so that's what I'm knitting right now, and hopefully next time I'll have more of like the body shape to be able to show you all. But I'm knitting it on my size 5 signatures, and I think the lace is coming out pretty well. With hand spun, I'm always worried that because there's a certain amount of variability as far as the thickness of the yarn. I'm always worried if I'm going to get the gauge I'm hoping for, but it seems to be coming out okay. The worst part is that I'm not actually done spinning the yarn. So I hope the rest comes out consistent with everything I've already spun.
She makes that face like it's going to take her more than a day to finish it all. I'm just
No.
so.
But anyway, so that is mine. I'll put the information at the bottom about the name of the pattern and the designer, and hopefully a link to where you can take a look at the knit along, and also where you can find the pattern. So, but anyway, so that's the only whip I really. Oh no, I did bring another one. Why did I not put? Sorry, it's been too long since I did this, so I'm kind of jumping around. I have one other whip that it's my Lock Street cardigan. Y'all have seen this before if you've been watching the show. Last time you saw it's all curled up. But last time you saw it, I think I had finished both fronts. So
that's pretty.
Thank you.
Who designed this?
I don't remember. It'll be. But so I had done the fronts. I'm pretty sure I was done with the fronts, and I was just getting ready to start the back.
And I wasn't here before. What yarn is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Woolmy's DK. So this is their DK version, and it's really cool because it's actually a 12 ply.
Cool.
What they did is they did super fine 2-ply yarn, and then they cable plied it together, which means you take a yarn that's already plied and you ply it back on itself the other direction.
Oh, so you've got the little straight stitches in there.
Exactly, you know.
Very pretty.
But anyway, so I finished, that was the fronts, and I actually did finish the back. So one of the problems I had with this before, I think when I talked about it before, I mentioned that I wound up pulling out the entire part that I already had done on one whole side because I realized it was going to be the wrong size. It wasn't going to come out right. So this really looks like it's going to actually fit pretty. This is the back.
Oh, that'll be
so yeah, I think it's going to fit pretty well. So
are you going to wear that to Rhinebeck?
That's my goal. But I have to finish Hito Fude because I'm going to take that to Rhinebeck too. And then I need to do 2 sleeves and a shawl collar on this.
I'll be knitting a Rhinebeck sweater on the plane.
Yeah, me too, probably. Because there's another one I want to cast on too.
There you go.
Anyway, so that's it for my whips, really, this time. For knitting, that is. What about you? I know you have an issue with whips, don't you?
I'm not allowed to show most of my whips right now because I've got some magazine work, different magazines and stuff coming up, so I can't show you anything that I'm knitting on deadline right now. So Kim wanted me to tell a little bit about my designing business, just to introduce myself to y'all. I used to work in a yarn store, and I've actually worked in a couple of yarn stores, and I was teaching classes there, and I was looking at the issue of using other people's patterns for my classes.
Oh.
And I looked that up and I'm like, okay, this isn't kosher. I can't just grab somebody's, even somebody's free pattern. You have to contact them, and all the different things that came up with that. And I just was like, well, I'll just write a pattern. And so I have a free pattern on my website. It's called the Snappy Hat. And that was the pattern that I wrote to teach people how to learn to work cables. And so I started there, and then that got kind of popular, and then I started doing some shawls and stuff, and then from there it's a more than full-time obsession, and I have my first book coming out with Interweave in the spring, which I'm very excited about, and I've been published in multiple magazines, and the Knitting Wizardry book just came out, and it has I'm not allowed to say what they used to be called. They used to be gloves that you would wear to a fancy dance, but they gave them a new name. We'll have to check that out.
A fancy dance at a wizarding school that shall not be named.
Right.
Because of copyright issues.
But I've done different things, and Kim and I were talking about it earlier. Actually, what I like doing the most, though, is I like doing my self-published patterns. I like having the freedom, and I've cultivated some really great relationships with different indie yarn dyers, which is my favorite stuff to use. We were thinking about some of the ones I haven't used lately because I've been so busy on other stuff. And Griffin, I'm gonna call you. And I need to use some Griffin yarn.
Let me text her real quick. No, I do.
So, but yeah, that's how I kind of got started and stuff. But I really love the designing, and it's kind of taken over my life. And we were joking about the football and the knitting mom, and I just kind of do it all the time.
Yeah, now anytime we go to a show with Karina, we're like her cronies, like we just stand in the back and watch her walk up and go, I love this yarn. I'm Karina Ferguson. I've designed a few things. And then they just like throw yarn at her and they just give her the yarn. And I'm standing there and I'm going, I'm here too.
She's exaggerating quite a bit, but it is kind of nice that I've reached the point where I can say, here's my library of work, and would you like to work with me? And I get yeses, which are always good for the ego. So
yeah. So it's cool. It's fun to hang out at the shows.
So next we're going to do spinning whips in progress?
Yeah.
And I have no spinning whips in progress because I'm not allowed to spin anymore because
Nobody said that. No. You could spin.
I tried spinning and bad things happened, and then there was the one time where I was spinning and my Ashford traditional actually moved 10 feet across the floor, and I had to follow it in my chair, and that's when we decided.
I'm going to get you hooked up with a support spindle.
You go ahead and show them your spinning whips.
Because it's very relaxing, and you can do it when you're not knitting.
When you're not knitting, that's funny.
Okay, so the thing I have to show, and I have this box here because that's the easiest way for me to transport my, are you sure you got it?
I'm just swatching.
Okay, well, So the last time I showed this project to you, I was working on, this is support spindling, and one thing I love about support spindling is that you can get a really fine single because all of the weight is being carried by the bowl. So you've got a bowl here and you're spinning this, and because all the weight of the spindle and the fiber is being, you know, supported by the bowl, thus support spindling, you can spin very fine and it won't break that single because there's no weight or pressure being put on it. It does get to the point where this I really packed on more than I probably should have. It became difficult to spin and it started breaking. The last time I showed you, there was about a third this much on here. And I said, I'm not going to show this to you again for a while because it's going to take forever to spin this much. Part of the reason for that is because I really loved the way that support spinning came out as far as how it was working, and really the whole simple elegance of such a simple tool, and all you need is this one little tool and some fiber and a support bowl of some sort, which you can just use even a little ceramic dish and you're fine. But the problem I was finding is I was most successful support spinning when I was sitting on the floor with the bowl on the floor. That just put my hands at the proper height to comfortably spin the support spindle. But my hips and my legs and my knees did not agree. They did not like this sitting on the floor thing. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because you can always learn new things. You can always reach out for help on Ravelry and find out what can I do differently. And so I went on a support spindling board, or it was just a spindling board or something, and I started a topic called How Do You Sit? And I told him exactly that. I just said, hey, I'm loving the support spindling, but I'm having this problem when I'm having the most success when I'm sitting on the floor, but my back hurts and my, you know. Well, they all started telling me how most of them sit back on the couch, bring one leg up a little bit on the couch, and put the bowl right on the couch between their legs.
Interesting.
Yes, it is so comfortable. I can sit there when I don't feel like getting out the wheel, or I'm not up for, I'm not up for, you know, knitting right then. I just want something simple and relaxing to do. I've been support spindling. So so this is where I am now on this support spindle. But like I said, it started getting a little heavy and started breaking. When I talked to you last, I had I want to say maybe 20 poonies spun. And these are the poonies that I got from Gourmet Stash. They're a mix of like Angelina and Cashmere and Merino and Superwash Merino and I said Angelina, right? I think there's something else, like the bamboo maybe a little bit, but it's just a lovely blend, and they're real tiny, and you can draft them out a little, you know, before you spin if you want to, but you don't have to. It takes 40 of these approximately to make 1 ounce of fiber, and I had spun about 20 of them, and I thought it was going to take me forever. This is all I have left of the 2 ounces. So that's how much spinning I've gotten done because I'm sitting much more comfortably because I reached out on Ravelry. So the other ones I have to show you are, okay, so this is a Russian lace spindle by Spanish Peacock.
Okay.
As is this one. So I've got 2 Spanish Peacock Russian spindles. And then this is by Malcolm Fielding, and this is, it's not is it a Tibetan? I think it's a Tibetan. Anyways, it's by Malcolm Fielding, and it's very lovely and very well balanced. This one didn't need a pin in it, but some of them sometimes need a pin to balance properly, and the people who do that to me are the ideal. They take the time to make it right, you know what I mean? Some people don't do that, so check that out. This is also Spanish Peacock. I got this in a D-stash, and this one's different because it's like a purse spindle. It's shorter, so you can travel with it. But you know, the smaller it is, the less you can get on the cop. And then the last one is also a Malcolm Fielding, and this is his answer. It's called a Diavol. And see, I don't know if you can see, but he's put a couple little rim weights into it to keep it nice and balanced. And this one has a metal tip on the end. And the thing I find about the metal tips is it makes them spin easier and maybe a little faster, but they also slow down easier and faster.
I thought that had rhinestones on it.
Oh no, it's sparkling. No,
Ooh, shiny.
No, they're just rim weights.
They do shine.
But that just shows you how much, what effort he goes to make sure that's a perfectly balanced spindle.
That's crazy.
And this is another little short kind of travel spindle. Okay. But so I've got almost 2 full ounces, and I'm really excited to get this plied up once I get those last 4 punis done, which will go onto this not quite full yet Russian spindle. And I want to see what kind of yardage I can get from 2 ounces of punis with the support spindle.
Okay.
So that's that. But yeah, just anytime you're thinking, oh, I wish I could do this better, reach out and tell someone, hey, what are you doing? Or ask them, what are you doing? What works for you? Because there's a wealth of knowledge out there, and I'm always blown away by what I can find.
Oh, yeah.
Just asking somebody. So
Absolutely.
that is it for spinning whips. What about finished objects?
I have 2 finished objects to show, both of which are long overdue for publishing. The first is this shawl, which is called Laura D, and I'm hoping to publish it either over the weekend or maybe on Monday. I've got to get my editor to finish some things up and get some pretty pictures. This is an asymmetrical shawl in a sport weight, and it's lots of garter stitch and short rows.
Look at.
It's got a little lace edging. It's a new yarn called Yellowstone, which is a silk wool blend.
Feels so nice.
Yeah, it's my new favorite yarn because I've done this, and then I did a sweater out of this yarn for the book, and it just has a really, really nice hand. So this is a good little bit of a heavier shawl for the winter, and like I said, it's Laura D, so we'll be publishing that very soon. So it was actually in the fashion show at TNNA in May, and then we had some structural differences, and we got in an argument, and I ripped a lot of it out, and I redid it.
You mean you got in an argument with your shawl?
Yes, I got in an argument with my shawl.
I'm just making sure you didn't get in an argument with somebody at TNNA and like fisticuffs.
It's not really my style.
Okay.
No, I got in an argument with the shawl, and I was like, well, maybe I could fix it, and then I said no, and then I tore it all out, and Heather, who gave me the Yellowstone yarn, cried a little bit, and then we fixed it. So I made it pretty for her. And the other, I don't know how to do this. The other whip that I have is Helene.
Okay, hold it.
I'll just put her in the chair, I think.
Oh, okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, look here. I'm gonna bring her a little closer so you can make sure you're in the camera too.
Okay, and this is Helene. It is a V-neck with a little ruffle down the bust, and it's got a little bow tie. Oh, well, I'm probably not in the picture at all because I'm talking over
Okay,
here.
but that's fine. Go ahead.
We'll do Vanna White Hands.
Yes.
And it's got ruffles everywhere, and it's got a little texture pattern, and this is also a newer yarn. This is Mrs. Crosby Plays, which is a shoot-off
I've heard of that.
of Lorna's laces, and it is absolutely delicious. This yarn is called Hatbox, and the color is called Midnight Aubergine, and it's just this very perfect deep plum eggplant color with the variations and stuff in it. So this pattern will actually be published, planning on this being released on September the 12th.
Cool.
Because I had a model and then bad things happened last night with somebody forgetting a memory card for their camera. I don't know what happened there. It's gonna fall out.
That happens every episode.
That somebody's arm falls
No,
out?
there's always something that makes me make that face.
Well, we're just gonna take her arm out and lay it down here.
Okay. It's alright. She won't mind.
Well, the arm, I actually got her when they closed the Fashion Bug. They sold all their fixtures.
Oh,
I got her for
good
$15.
idea. No way.
Yep.
That's nice.
$15, and she is the perfect model size, which I am not. So,
Yes, you are. You're the perfect you size model.
I'm the perfect me size model, but I am not the perfect runway what the magazines and books want size model.
I don't know how many people really are that.
But those are my only finished objects that I'm allowed to show anybody right now. Because they belong
They're
to
beautiful.
me.
I love that sweater.
Thank you.
I love the shawl too. I love that yarn.
Thank you.
I love everything.
She loves it.
I have one finished object. Now, when I was doing my whips, people who have been following the episode might have been wondering, you said you were going to cast on with your hand spun. I did. I cast on with my hand spun for my, I call it my less is more custom fit roaming sweater. Because it's actually inspired by less is more. which is a pattern which uses just all different kinds. You use, spinners, a lot of times they have a lot of 4-ounce braids of fiber. And then you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, all I have, what can I make with just this one 4-ounce braid? Well, less is more said, take all those individual 4-ounce braids and spin them up so that the yarn itself is similar, and then knit it as a gradient, and they come out. I love that less is more, but I wanted a slightly different collar, and I wanted it more fitted. So also less is more doesn't quite go up to my size. So what I did is I used the inspiration of less is more, and I took my custom fit. I have Amy Herzog's custom fit. I don't want to say program because it's an online account. Like you go in there and you can put in your gauge, you put in how your yarn is knitting up, and then you put in what you want for your sweater, and it gets you all the way to the point of generating the actual sweater pattern before it ever asks you to pay for anything. And then at the end, if you like, okay, yeah, that looks good, that's what I want, then you pay for the pattern.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you don't get enough information to be able to make the pattern yourself, until you've paid.
But you have enough information to make the decision.
To design it.
That's nice.
Yes. So what I did, because custom fit isn't made right now, I think she's going to be changing it. It's really for pieced patterns and from top down. No, excuse me, from bottom up.
Bottom up.
And I really wanted to also incorporate the collar and the button band from Romy.
Okay.
Which is a top-down, contiguous shoulder, contiguous sleeve pattern.
So you just threw the whole kitchen sink in there.
I did. I just kind of threw it because I didn't want to do the contiguous because I'd never done one before, so I didn't want to try to edit a contiguous, having never done one. So I went with the straight raglan. So I have the collar and the button band from Romy, the raglan sleeve from Less is More, and then the custom fit I did from the armholes down. I used all the custom fit shaping from the armholes down. So, all of that to show you, this is my finished sweater. It looks a little wrinkly because as soon as it was finished, this being Florida, it went straight into storage. Until it's time to bring it out because it's a little colder. But so it's got kind of this, big shawl-ish. No, that's not a shawl collar. What is that, a shawl collar? What is that?
Oh.
It doesn't matter. The Romy collar. And
Romy
then
collar.
The button band that you do with Romy as well. And that is knit at the same time that you knit the body. So that's why I was able to utilize it, because you're not trying to go back with your hand spun and put the button band on in the color repeat.
Right, that would be hard.
Yeah, so then it's just a full, full sleeve, full length cardigan. And I think the only thing I would change about what I did, I would change the way I did the raglan shaping. I should have moved it a little bit, but that's just, from me, just the way I wrote my changes. I think I wouldn't have put the buttons quite so close together, maybe a little further apart, but that was something I had to decide when I started knitting, because it's put on at the same time as you're knitting,
But that'll keep it from gapping. I hate gappy buttons.
I do too. So I kind of go back and forth, but all in all, I'm very happy with it.
Where did you get the buttons from?
It'll be down here.
They're super pretty buttons. That's the reason that I mentioned that.
I got them on Etsy.
She'll let you know.
Here. Oh,
They're gorgeous.
I don't know if you can see them, but yeah, so I really, really enjoyed knitting this. I could not stop. That's what we were talking about earlier about I'm not usually a monogamous knitter, but once I started this, I did not knit anything else.
At all?
Until it
Not
was
a
done.
single other thing?
No. I mean, it was crazy.
I'm going to check with Kristen and make sure that's true. If so, that's a miracle.
I think maybe if anything, and even then I don't think so, was maybe my sock, my purse knitting sock.
Her purse knitting sock. Everybody needs a purse knitting sock.
And they really do. But they've seen it, and the last time I showed it was last month, and it has not gone far since then. So, but anyway, so it's done. I'm so happy. It's my sweater. I will wear it to Rhinebeck.
All right.
So that is it for my finished objects. All we're really left with is stash enhancement / mini adventure. And the reason that I did it that way is because y'all know that I like to do my mini adventures, which is, going on a trip with other mini owners, or just taking a weekend in the minis. So not this past weekend, but the weekend before. My daughter had to go back to school in Tallahassee, and we were trying to move her in. Now you have to understand, she has a VW Bug. My husband has a Mini, but he has a Mini Countryman, which is like the small SUV version of a Mini. But it has much more cargo space.
It does.
Than her Bug or my Mini.
You should have borrowed my Mini then.
Well, okay, no, I'll explain. So then we have my Mini, which is a convertible. Okay, so minimal storage space, right? Well, we're packing up. We send the girls, because it was, both my daughters went up. My oldest daughter went with her to help her unpack. But she had to be up there at a certain time, and it's like a 3-hour drive. She had to be there at a certain time to get her keys. But we had to drop off the dogs. So we couldn't load Chris's car until after we dropped off the dogs. Okay? So I'm looking at the stuff piled up in his office, ready to get loaded in, and he's looking at it, and he's shaking his head where he's like, I'm never going to fit this into my car. And I'm looking and I said, that will totally fit into your car. I fit a full-size smoker grill into the back of his car to bring it home. I mean, I'm like, it'll fit. And he goes, have you not seen the stuff in her bedroom? I'm like, oh no, are you kidding me? So we look in her bedroom, there's at least twice as much stuff in the bedroom as there was in his office.
Oh no.
Yes. So we wound up taking both of our minis. I had to bring down my top to load everything in and then put my top back up to get it all there. But anyways, so that turned into its own little mini adventure because Chris and I came up on our own together. Well, I'm like, I've heard there's this new shop going in up in Thomasville, which is like 40 minutes north of Tallahassee. And darned if I'm not going to try to get up there while I'm here doing all this stuff in like the hottest weekend of the entire year. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. My car said like 107 at one point, I think.
Ugh.
It was so bad. But anyway, so I contacted the shop owner, and the name of this new shop going into Thomasville is called Fuzzy Goat. And I contacted her on her Facebook page, and I knew she was supposed to be opening sometime in August. And I said, I'm going to be coming up that weekend, and I'll be in desperate need of some retail therapy. Will you be open? So she was so sweet. The name of the shop owner is Candace Kidwell. And she was so sweet. And she said, no, we're not going to be open. But I will be in the shop all weekend preparing to open next week. You can come and take a sneak peek of the shop. So I was thrilled. So my husband and I jumped in the car. We ran up there. And like I said, I'm going to show a couple little pictures. Well, not little, they're full-size pictures. But I'll show a couple of the pictures that I took up there. And then I'll put all the pictures from the shop at the end of the episode so you can see. The other thing I didn't mention too, while I'm thinking about it, sorry for jumping around. When we were talking about spinning whips, I actually had a lot of things that I had been working on for Tour de Fleece. But I didn't want to go crazy and keep everybody tied up listening to that if you're not interested. So at the very end of the episode, after the pictures, so you'll have to stay tuned, I'm going to tack on like what I spun during Tour de Fleece and a little bit stuff like that. So
you should take a bathroom break before she did lots of stuff there. Yeah, we were in awe of how much stuff she did during Tour de Fleece. Not that it would take that long to show you, just that there's so much.
I
volume.
I think it was a few pounds.
How many miles?
If you count the ply, like a 2-ply yarn, if it's 200 yards of a 2-ply, it actually is 600 yards of spinning, because each of the singles took 200 yards to spin, and then it was another 200 yards to ply it. Altogether, I believe it was 7 miles, if you include the...
Longer than the walk I took this morning.
Yeah. I think. I'll look it up. I don't know. But it was awesome. It was fun doing Tour de Fleece. But anyway, so we'll talk about that later. So after the photos I'm going to show you, there will be that. But back to Fuzzy Goat on our mini adventure.
Fuzzy Goat.
Yes. So anyways, this shop, which we'll get into even more in a minute, was still completely being put together. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is what it looked like when we got there. And see, nothing in the shelves because they were still doing all the sanding and they didn't want any of the sand to get into the yarn, you know, not the sand, any of the dust to get to the yarn and anything. But we got to look around and I fell in love with this shop. I could already tell how great it was going to be because she has almost entirely indie dyed yarns. The only thing she had that wasn't indie dyed was like shepherd's wool. So she doesn't have cascade or anything like that. It's all like indie dyed yarns. And she tells me she's going to let me buy, even though, because she knew I needed retail therapy, and she's very sweet.
That was a smart decision on the part of Candace.
No, but wait, she tells me, which I love, she's like, just dig through the boxes. Just look for whatever you want. Here's kind of where the fingering is, and here's kind of where the worsted is, and just dig through, just, you know, and she was talking to me, and it was a really pleasant visit. Well, the only disappointing part of that visit was the only person I had to share it with was my husband, who is pretty much sitting there, and he's looking at all of the fixtures and everything, and we can talk about that in a second, but he's enjoying that, but not so much digging through boxes of yarn. That wasn't really his thing. Well, I had told Candace that I was going to do a podcast, and was it okay if I shared, you know, about the shop? And she said, sure, just make sure they know we're opening soon. And I said, well, not sure when I'm going to get the podcast out, so maybe it'll be after you open. So it kind of kept in touch and found out that she was actually opening, I want to say Friday, this past Friday. Mm-hmm. And so I put out the call to Kristen and Karina, and I said, hey, you guys want to drive 3 hours to Thomasville? Which I'd just been out the weekend before, because they're going to be open now. And that's where the second mini adventure in a week takes place, because Karina came with me.
It was good stuff, and not that I want a mini because I'm very addicted to my living room on wheels / minivan, but it was like, I was telling Kim as we were driving in the mini with the top down, it was like as relaxing as sitting on the beach, and I am very, very, very attached to my beach days. It was just nice and beautiful and blue sky. I think there's a picture of the blue sky on my Instagram.
Yeah.
It was just a breathtakingly gorgeous day.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have to drive, and she loves to drive, so it wasn't like a hardship for her to drive. So she's zooming around, and I'm knitting and just looking at the sky and looking at the poor schmucks in their air-conditioned car. It was good stuff. Good stuff.
So, yeah, so we had a great time driving up there. It was a beautiful day, and we stopped for Starbucks, which,
always,
you know, why not? So we get up there like 30 minutes after the shop opens, and my daughter actually drove up from Tallahassee to meet us there and literally showed up like 2 minutes before we got there. And the funny thing is we're driving up to the shop, and Karina points to the right. We're coming from the north down the street. I think it's Jackson Street that it's on. I'll put the information in on the show notes. But we're driving down the street, and she looks over to the right, and she says, "Is that it over there?" And I said, "No, it's over here on the left." She goes, "Ken, there's a Kromsky dealership right there, and you missed that?" I was so blinded by the awesomeness of the Fuzzy Goat shop when I was there the weekend before. I didn't even notice that there is a Kromsky spinning and weaving shop / I think they're mostly a distributor, is what Candace said, is they really just distribute.
Across the street.
Across the street. Spinning wheels in the window. I didn't even notice.
Now that's a thing.
Yeah, that's saying
yeah, I thought it was the shop because I just saw the spinning wheel, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the shop, that's a Kromsky place.
Yeah.
And he was like, what, a Kromsky place?
So anyway, so we get to the shop, and what this shop is, well, I'm going to explain a little bit about it. She went into a location that was literally abandoned. It has the old, and this is an historic kind of Thomasville area, so it's a great area to visit in and of itself. And there's a lot of historic buildings, a lot of, if you go down the main street, every building has a plaque on it that says,
oh, those are cute.
Yeah, what it used to be like 100 years ago or something.
They had bowling alleys in like the 1860s or something.
No idea.
Because there was like a sign that said late 1800s bowling alley, and I was like, bowling alley?
Yeah,
I had no
they were
idea.
like wooden pins and wooden balls.
Who knows?
Yeah. But anyway, so she had taken this building that was abandoned. The ceiling, she said, was actually coming in, and she turned it into a shop where it's got exposed brick wall on one side. It's got the really nice old ceiling tiles on tins. Yes, the tins on the roof. They completely fixed the roof, and every fixture, every display, everywhere you look in this shop are antiques.
It's beautiful.
It is so amazing. And then all of the yarns are indie yarns. Like almost all. I can't say all.
Well, they have stuff like Madeline Tosh. Like, she has a great selection of Madeline Tosh, which is still
Considered an indie
dyer, even though it's, a big kahuna now.
And she has Malabrigo.
Malabrigo. She had, what was that one that you really liked? The Hedgehog.
And that's part of my stash enhancement. I did get some. No, that's cool. I got some Hedgehog. She had Anzula.
Oh, and I'm in love with Anzula.
Oh gosh,
I'm
so
all about
nice.
Anzula all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she had a lot of beautiful.
She had Quince and Company.
She did?
She had, the linen Quince. She had a display which I thought was really cool, which was animal-free yarns.
Yeah, she had a whole section of fibers that was like linens and cottons, animal-free. And it was stuff that, living in the South was really suitable for our climate.
Yeah, and so she had that. She had, I'm trying to think of some of the other dyers. I got Copper Corgi.
Oh, that was beautiful stuff.
Yeah, Jill Draper makes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have some pictures here. Hold, I'll show you this is what I got on my first trip there. First, let me show you this area in the back. Okay, so in the back, she's made where she's going to have dyeing. She's going to have small classes. She's going to have all the way in the back because she bought the building. She actually has the area behind the building as hers as well. She's going to put dye kettles back there.
Oh, that's nice.
She's also putting a washer and a dryer so you can felt, and they're going to do felting classes eventually. Yeah, and I'm like, this is so neat. But I mean, look, you can't see the fixture in this picture, but like this is the back sink area, and it's got like a really nice, that's an antique sink, I think, or it's at least made to look like one. Mm-hmm. And then this is the little teaching area where they've actually see they put a chalkboard up on the wall.
That's pretty.
Oh, and guess what? Look, she owns a mini. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, yeah, she owns a mini, and Kim took me to her shop in the mini and let me introduce myself as a business person with mini hair. I don't know if you're familiar with what mini hair looks like, but that would be me with a little bun on the top of my head and then all kinds of crazy pieces of wispies sticking out all over my head. And I'm like, hello, I'm Karina Ferguson. And she's thinking, oh my goodness, you look that crazy.
I didn't notice.
And then when I went into the bathroom and realized that I had crazy convertible hair, I took my hair down so it would be all, and Kim's like, oh, I didn't even recognize you when you came out of the bathroom. That's how bad I looked when I introduced myself to Candace. Just saying, this is my good friend.
I'm used to convertible hair though.
Yeah.
Oh, dyed in the wool. Sorry, I looked up pictures. This is the stuff I told her I was really impressed by, but I just couldn't buy everything. So I took pictures of it at the shop. So this is dyed in the wool. It's not hand spun, but it's made to look like it's plied together so it looks like hand spun.
Interesting.
And then she had Jill Draper make stuff. She had, I didn't buy Anzula, but I'll show you what all I got. But also even her accessories were from indie companies.
I already took all those out of the package. Those cute, what was the name of that company that made the little stitch markers and stuff?
Fringe. Well, there was Fringe, and there's the other one that makes it out of the plastic, where it's like laser cut plastic, and it's like Sakuluppi.
And then there was that other person?
Beekman 1802.
Oh yeah, she had all kinds of soaps and lotions and stuff. It was super nice.
I love Beekman 1802. My brother. For people who don't know, if you watch Amazing Race, Josh and Brent, they're the guys who run the farm. Beekman 1802. It's up in New York, and they won the Amazing Race. And actually, my brother's friends with them, and he goes up to the farm during Victorian Christmas and does tours. So I hear about Beekman 1802 a lot, but I've never actually been up to Sharon Springs, I want to say, is where they're located.
That's it.
And they do this like really cool Victorian Christmas, and my brother posts pictures, and he and his partner are all like dressed up in all the Victorian garb, and they do tours of the farm during that time, and it's really cool. And their stuff is amazing. It's mostly a goat farm, and they have some unruly llamas too, apparently. Anyway, so she has their stuff there, which I thought was really cool.
It was a cute add-on because, you get different lines of lotions and hand salves and stuff like that. But it was neat to have the Beekman stuff. She had some bags, and she had like a hand butter kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Really, really neat stuff.
Totally. So that was cool. Yeah. But so when we went back, sorry, I'm jumping around again, but I took some more pictures from the shop once it was done. So this was just a week later. I mean, they seriously got a lot of work done in that week.
Yeah, when I saw the before pictures, I was in shock because it was perfectly put together.
Yeah, and I had been there on Saturday, and then she opened the following Friday. And It was crazy. But this is so cool. They've got where they put a chart of the yarn weight system on the wall above where some of the yarn goes, as well as the yarn care symbols. So as you're looking, at the labels, you don't have to sit there and ask yourself, is this going to be what I'm looking for? She also has a killer, let's see if I can get it to show properly, a really nice sitting area. See where they put like the fireplace mantle on the wall, and they've got some comfy chairs, and then there's more seating on the other side. And then behind that is where all the classes and such are. And so, here's one side of the yarn, with all the yarn, and here's the other side. It looks like she took an old like postal box. Let me see if I can, that right there.
Oh, that was cool, the way she had the needles.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell, but right here is an old post office box kind of display, I guess. And the way it's arranged is it's like 16-inch circs is what it says here, and then up at the top it says 1, 2, 3, 4 or 0, 1, 2, 3, and pretty much you just follow the grid pattern and it takes you right to the box where that needle is found.
It's a nice idea.
I like it. The only thing I kind of worry about for them is as people are like looking and then putting stuff back.
Put it back in the room. It's like library books. Don't put them back yourself.
Yeah, no kidding, because people are not going to put them in the right place.
Yeah.
And here's a picture I love of the front desk. It's got Karina in it. No,
That's a horrible picture. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But it's got Candace in it too. So this is the owner checking out with Karina, and then I love the service sign up here, the old antique service sign that points to the front counter. So I've got more also pictures from the shop, but I'll put them at the end. So what were your thoughts? I've been chatting a lot about it.
I loved the shop, and Candace was super sweet. I loved the layout. I actually am planning on giving her a little email for when she gets settled in about does she need teachers, because the teaching space is fabulous. Plenty of room in the teaching space. You're not like right on top of shoppers, which is one of the things, when you have your space at a premium in a yarn store, a lot of times, you have a table in the middle of your store, and then you have people like moving around you and hunching over your shoulders and stuff. To have a dedicated space like that, that's one of the things that I really liked in some of the shops that we visited over the last year. And she had a great selection of stuff. So I'm excited to see how that goes and the different classes that she has to offer. So it was really cool.
I looked at the classes she's got going right now, and right now it's pretty much just like a learn to knit, and then there's some pattern specific classes. But she did give a little bio of the teachers.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I think that's important because you want to know who it is that you're learning from.
Can we talk about the area now? The soap
Yes.
is in?
Well, real quick, hold on.
Oh, she has to show you stuff first.
And I'll show you super fast, because if you really want to know all the yarn I have, you can probably just go look at my stash.
She has a tremendously huge stash.
No.
Yes.
So this is some copper cordy fiber that I got. I love the colors, but I don't want to get you too excited. Do you need to get there?
No, I don't need to get it. It's just annoying buzzing. Sorry.
She actually contacted Copper Corgi, and when they said that they were going to send, she was going to purchase yarn, they asked, do you want some fiber to go with that? Just as kind of like she just got, I think, like maybe 6 braids of fiber. So for right now, she's not really a spinning shop, I'd say.
Well, there's a spinning place across the street.
But she said they're only open Monday through Friday, and they really are just a distributor.
Okay.
So, but I think she is planning on eventually trying to add that. Oh,
I was going to touch it.
you can, go for it.
What's
It's
in
merino silk. Oh, yes, she has Sweet Georgia. See, this was part of the reason why I have to show this.
Georgia.
So she has lots of Sweet Georgia. This is a merino silk blend, and I just love the depth of the color. I mean, it's a semi-solid, but that's going to knit up so
What does
beautiful.
Sweet Georgia say? She says unapologetic color. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she says for her like little tagline. She has such beautiful, beautiful color.
And this was another Sweet Georgia. I was trying not to get 2 from the same company because there were so many choices, but I couldn't resist. Look at this, is like very me. So that's also Sweet Georgia. That is her Tough Love sock, which is 80% wool, 20% nylon, and this one is 50-50 merino and silk.
Is that the silk, the fine?
Yes,
Merino
merino
silk
silk fine. So that's got like 380 yards.
Yeah, I did a shawl out of that. The Hadria shawl came out of that in one of her colors, which was really nice to work with.
That's cool. This is Blue Ridge Yarns. This is a Footlights, which is essentially one of her standard colorways that she split into mini skeins. Like rather than being a variegated yarn, she took the same colors and made them into a mini skein set.
I didn't see this one.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Well, there's so much to look at. And then here's the Hedgehog. And Hedgehog is out of Ireland, and she brought this in. And this is just 90% superwash, 10% nylon. But it is so flipping soft. And this is another one that has a lot of depth. And even though it's pretty much a semi-solid, it's got that little bit of blue and a little bit of green going through it.
Yeah, that's very pretty.
But I can't believe how soft that is.
It's very squishy. What is it? It's 100%.
Nope, it's 90.
No, oh, I'm sorry. It's 90%.
Yeah.
90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. But still, super squishy.
Yeah, really, really squishy and soft. I love it.
Very nice.
And then one last thing, I brought my Beekman 1802 soap. And see, it's a big old block of soap. And you buy handmade soaps, and they're usually $5-6 a soap, sometimes a little more. This whole block was $10.
You can cut it into pieces and use it forever.
Yeah, you cut it into bars, and you can get like a good 4 bars of soap. Yeah, isn't that nice?
It's really nice.
You can get like 3-4 bars of soap out of this. $10.
Good stuff.
I love it. Okay, now we can talk about the rest of Thomasville.
Oh, the rest of Thomasville, although it was super hot and super sweaty, and they have hills. They don't have any hills in Jacksonville.
They're not big hills.
They were little hills, but I was surprised.
Yeah.
But we walked up into Thomasville because she had recommended this place. It was called Jonas Fish and Grits.
Fish and grits, yeah.
For lunch. And so I had shrimp and grits because that's one of my favorites for lunch. And you had wahoo!
Yeah, I did. I had wahoo!
The fish was called wahoo. It was really delicious. And then your daughter had the salmon, but they had wonderful, wonderful food. And one of the things that Candace said, she says, don't be afraid of the line. It moves really fast. And she was totally right. So if you go to Thomasville, you have to go to the Jonas Fish and Grits. It was super delicious. And then we went and we walked along the little shops. What was the name of the cheese shop that you went to?
Sweet dairy, it's like sweet cream dairy or sweet dairy, but it's a wine and cheese shop.
She brought a cooler for her cheese.
I did, because we had gotten some the week before, and it was so fabulous. It was gone, and then when the family found out I was going back to Thomasville, my husband gave me the cooler. Sorry, it's my phone.
That's your phone.
Yeah. My husband gave me the cooler, and he's like, here's a cooler, honey, so you can bring back cheese.
Next time we'll actually put ice in the cooler.
Yes, that would be smart.
It still stayed cool though, didn't it?
It really did, yeah.
No, and then we went to Small Cakes.
Yeah, small cakes
We
is the name
went
of
we
it.
went and had cupcakes, and Kim and I split this very super delicious bourbon chocolate chip cupcake with like pecans
Yeah.
on top.
It was good.
It
Kentucky
was
bourbon, I think, was the
Kentucky
flavor.
bourbon. Kim's like, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna have a cupcake. I'm gonna be good. And Kim's like, I can only eat half of this cupcake. Would you like a bite? And I'm like, sure, I'll have a bite. And then I ate the whole other half of the cupcake because it was super delicious. And
Seriously,
it was
because
super
it's
cute.
yeah, it's called small cakes. I thought it was going to be the mini cupcakes.
And I was like, oh, I'll go have a mini cupcake. No, it was full size, super delicious, bourbon flavored frosting, caramel goodness.
Yeah, it
that
was
good
good.
stuff. And then there were like bookshops and little shops that had clothes and
kitchenware.
things.
Yeah,
Just really fun, neat little places to go. Like everywhere that we went, there was something that I was like, I could buy that. I could buy that.
yeah, and all of it we walked to from the shop.
From the shop. It's all walking distance.
Yeah, so we didn't even try to repark the car or anything like that. It wasn't necessary.
And I say a hill, it was really more of an incline. I'm just very spoiled by it being super flat
In Jacksonville.
here in Jacksonville, Florida. So, but it was just a beautiful little small town. You park, you shop, you have lunch. Totally worth a day trip if you're anywhere within a reasonable driving distance. So,
And then after we were done there, I had asked Candace, I said, we might be going back down to Tallahassee with my daughter. And, what do you recommend? And before I even had the chance to finish my question, she said, go to yarn therapy and tell them I said hi.
which was so sweet because sometimes when, I mean, they're 45 minutes to an hour away from each other?
They're 45 minutes, but she actually used to be I don't know if she was a professor. I know someone walked into the shop while we were there and looked at her and went, Dr. Kidwell? So she actually used to work at FSU.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so she was down in that area and would be, I think those were her shops before.
But yarn therapy, also super fabulous. The owner's name was Marion.
I believe so, yeah.
And we were squeeing about the fact that we're super excited that we are going to Rhinebeck for our first time. Kim has probably told you about that on the podcast.
Multiple times.
Although I get to tell the joke about Kristen and Rhinebeck now because we were on, we are on Plurk, and it's kind of like Twitter, but it's threaded stuff. But anyhow, so we're on Plurk and people are talking about Rhinebeck, and Kristen is like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, we're going. And like people are talking about where they're staying, and Kristen's like, I don't know where we're staying, but we're going, and da 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 da. And I got to come in with Kristen. We know where we're staying. We've already paid for the house that we're staying in. She was so excited that she forgot that we already paid for the house that we're sharing with Mindy Wilkes and Heather Zapetti and a bunch of other knitters when we go to Rhinebeck for our very first trip. So we make fun of her for that. That will probably live for a long time. But Marion said that she was also going to Rhinebeck and we would see her there. And which was neat because we were super excited. And there, now Barbara, I can't remember your Twitter name.
I can't think of either.
Penguin?
I think maybe, no.
There's a
something.
Twitter friend that I have, and she was sitting there in the shop, and I totally didn't know that it was her because I didn't think about, introducing myself to people because I'm horrible about that. And then she's like, you were there, and I was there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I talk to her all the time on Twitter. And I felt terrible about that, and I'm horrible with Twitter names. I can see her little face.
Yeah, because she saw your business card after we left.
And she's like
and
on Twitter.
tweeted about it.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh.
Oh, I just totally missed it. But the yarn therapy show was really great. What did you do when you were in yarn therapy?
Well, I'd already kind of spent a lot at
We're going to have to make
Fuzzy
a
Goat.
separate trip to yarn therapy.
But I got these really cool, they had these really cool, it's not a needle, but it looks like a circular needle, but it's got like a stopper on one end, and then it's got a needle tip on the other, and it's actually for holding your stitches.
Oh, right.
When you've been knitting in the round, and so you slide on the stitches, and normal where you have it. Okay, so I have high interchangeables. And if I want to, I can take the tip, I can put a cable on it, and then I can put the little panda bear on the other end, and it essentially turns it into a straight in that you knit to one end and all the stitches get stopped up at that stopper.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of what this is, but the little stopper piece has a hole in it, so that you can take that needle all the way around and stick that through the hole, so that it makes a full circle, and the stitches off either end can't slip off.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I got a couple of those, and it was so cute. When I went to, what in the world is going on with my phone?
We are
I'm very
popular
sorry.
today.
Okay.
Wait, it must be Kristen because we're all here.
Probably. really is. But anyway, so I got those and I was checking out, and the girl that was helping me check out, she's like, "Where did we get these? I need some." Cute. And I was like, "Oh, I just bought the last two."
I loved her hair. She had the prettiest hair with the blue and stuff.
Yeah, and the color in it.
Super cute.
I wish I was like, my daughter's a hairdresser, my older daughter. I wish I had the guts to let her go crazy with my hair.
We should dye our hair crazy colors for right back.
Then nobody would know who we were.
Probably won't.
But anyway, so, but Yarn Therapy had a lot of great yarns too. They had,
she had Anzula as well.
She did have Anzula.
Because I was talking, because we've got those booklets that we're doing in Anzula coming up. So.
And I think she also had the Mantosh and the Malabrigo. And then, what did she have that I was really, she had something that had yak in it, I think. And then she had a really good selection too.
She did. We didn't shop there as much because Kim was already shopped out. And I don't buy very much yarn because with my designing business, I've always got other people's yarn to knit with. So I don't have a whole lot of time just to knit things for myself. Although I swear I'm going to knit a Rhinebeck sweater for myself. I have to.
You have to.
I have to.
Plus a couple other things you have to.
We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about all the deadlines that I'm on.
Okay.
But no, so she had really beautiful stuff, and we're definitely planning on going back to Yarn Therapy in the future. And then I have a kid who's bound and determined to go to the University of Florida, so Kim felt the need to drive me around and show me Florida State. Wait, where's your shirt?
Oh, sorry.
Her Florida State. She's a Florida State mom.
I am.
So we drove around the campus, and the campus was beautiful. And then we tried to go to one other yarn store, but they were closed for the holiday weekend.
Woolly Bully, because we were there.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's just me again. It's a month later now, and I hope you enjoyed that episode with Karina. I'm really looking forward to next month, because next month we are going to have, or next month, oh gosh, please don't let it be a month again. Oh, next episode we're going to have a Rhinebeck sum up. But also, we're going to have a really great giveaway from a vendor, a yarn supplier. So I am really excited about that and cannot wait to share that with you too. So be sure and come back next month. Oh my goodness, I keep saying next month. Please don't let me get in that mindset. Next episode, I can't wait to have you back then. For anyone not interested in spinning, this is the bit where I am going to get into some spinning I've been doing lately. I know in the episode I said I was going to go over a bunch of the Tour de Fleece yarns that I did, but having just finished Spinzilla, which is a spinning competition put on by TNNA, that is actually a fundraiser for the Needle Arts Mentoring Program. So it's a really cool competition. You compete in teams, or you can be an individual rogue spinner, as they call it. And it's 1 week long, and you just bust out as much spinning as you possibly can. It's all completely based on yardage. So fat singles, thin singles, plied yarn, doesn't matter. Whatever your total yardage is what your score is at the end. And so you're trying to win individually and you're trying to win as a team, but mostly you're just having a really good time spinning your butt off. So for an example, my complete yardage for Tour de Fleece was just over 12,000 yards. It was somewhere around almost 12 something. And that was a 3-week time period for Tour de Fleece. Over 7 days for Spinzilla, I spun 17,823 yards of wool, and, well, no, it was all wool. It was just different types of wool and some mohair. So it was a crazy week of spinning, and because of that, I hardly remember what I spun in Tour de Fleece. I'd have to pull it all back out of the stash. I'd have to look through my notes just to remember what I did and what the content was. So I think what I'll do instead is talk a little bit about my Spinzilla spinning. I'm just going to go over it really quickly because it's just a whole lot of spinning. But the main thing I want to talk about is
why it's such a great idea to participate in these competitions at any level. I mean, if you participate in the competition and you do 1,000 yards, awesome. You know, everybody's got different time commitments, everybody's got different equipment, everybody's got different skills. Whatever you can do is awesome. But the best part about these type of competitions is that it really pushes you to try new things, to do things a little differently, to see what works best for you, more efficiently for you. It's just, you know, a lot of times I spend too much time, you know, spinning the fiber and trying to make it just the perfect diameter. And when you're spinning for yardage, you don't care. You're just like, I'm going full blast. And if there's a little lumpy bit there, then who cares? It's no big deal. And then you find when you're done that you've plied the yarn and the yarn looks great. All the stuff you were stressing about while you were spinning this little tiny section that long, this huge amount of fiber, you don't see it. It's just, it's silly to worry about. Sometimes some projects it's important, but I'm just saying in that regard, it encouraged me to be freer with my spinning, let go a bit, and just enjoy the process. So what I started out with was, let me pull this stuff up. Okay, look at this bag. I just pulled 5 skeins out of it, and there's still this full bag, and then I have 8 full bobbins that just didn't get plied. So lots of spinning happening. I started off with this awesome carded roving. There's a difference between combed top and carded roving. Combed top, all the fibers are going to be nice and in line, and they're going to draft really easily, which is great for short forward draw, but not so much long draw. Now, I'm not saying you can't make it work. I'm just saying it's not as well suited for it. But this was Coopworth carded roving, so the fibers were kind of not all lined up perfectly straight, and it just makes it easier for them to grip on when you're long drawing. You probably can't see very well. That's a kind of chocolate brown. I got it from Woolery, and they were doing this awesome 2-pound pack for Spinzilla that was like half price of normal for the 2 pounds. So I did that, and I wound up with something like 1,500 yards of this worsted Aran weight kind of 2-ply yarn. And that really went fast. I think I did like 6 bobbins the first day and 6 bobbins the second day, plus plying the first 6 bobbins the second day. So, is that right? Yeah, that's right. So this 2 pounds went by a lot faster than I expected it to because it spins a little thicker. So then I busted into, I had a pound of a champagne colored Coopworth. Again, a carded roving. And I don't know how well these are going to show up on this camera, but eventually, hopefully, I'll get some pictures up on Ravelry of these. But and I will put at the very end of this a picture that shows like everything all together. It's just a basic Instagram picture, but yeah, it works. So I did a bunch of this in a 2-ply long draw. That was 1 pound of that. And then I had another 8 ounces of Coopworth that I'd gotten from like a farm. The 2 lighter Coopworths I got directly from farms. And this is, see, I haven't applied this one yet, but this is like a silver Coopworth. I don't know if that's focusing. Anyways. And you know, I had a lot of fun just letting go and spinning these and not worrying about it. And I'm really happy with the yarn that's coming out. I mean, it's not really a color particularly. Oops, I should silence that. Unless there's a good update. Let's find out. Nope. You always gotta check the updates. So what I'm thinking of doing with this, because it's not really my color for a sweater, although maybe it would work. I don't know. I was thinking maybe like a really rustic blanket would be kind of cool too. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. I got plenty of time. So while I was doing that, doing all that long draw with all that coop work, I didn't want to be doing the same thing the whole time because it's that same long draw arm movement. If you look on my Instagram feed, I actually did a quick video of doing the long draw. And what'll happen if you do that and just that is your shoulder is going to get really tight. My back was starting to hurt from sitting in that same position. There's not a lot of hand stress from doing that because, I mean, you're not even really holding on to the fibers. You're just kind of supporting the fiber supply, and it's almost like the wheel does the spinning itself. It's a really great technique when you're using the right kind of carded roving and just going with the flow kind of thing. But anyways, so we'll talk more about that later. I might go over that technique because it is a one-handed long draw technique that you only use your other hand very minimally to control the, if it starts to get away from you, you can grab the single. But it's a very easy way to spin. But if you continually do the same movement over and over again, no matter what it is you're doing, you're going to get a repetitive stress injury. Or repetitive motion injury or something, whatever they call it. So at the same time I had, a lot of that was done on my matchless, but eventually I switched over to the Reeves. But while all that was going on, I always had one or two other projects going on different wheels. One being my Sidekick, which I was able to take to work, and my boss let me spin at work 2 days when we had some downtime. Oh, that was this. I'll show it real fast because I got to start speeding up. This is getting too long. Okay, this was some Corriedale Cross that I got from Paradise Fibers that I dyed and spun most of it at work. There's 8 ounces total. And that was a lot of fun, partially because I dyed it and I really like these super vibrant colors. And also because it's always fun to spin at work when I'm supposed to be doing other things. But we were dead in downtime and nothing really going on, so I was just there pretty much answering the phones if they rang, and then later in the day when we picked back up again I got back to work. But anyway, so that was on the Sidekick. I had the matchless running, I had the Reeves running, and I got a mini spinner. I got a Hanson mini spinner, and I was using it to do the plying and also did another project that's still on it. It's the only one that didn't get finished, but yeah, so I got the mini spinner and I really love it. It's nice to be able to ply on that because it's not just a matter, particularly when you're spinning like 10, 12, 18 hours in a day. I was able to not only switch the motion, so from a long draw to a short forward draw or a short backward draw, I was also able to change where I was sitting because I had my stool set up in front of the Reeves and I had a folding folding like camping chair set up in front of the matchless, and I had the e-spinner set up in front of my lazy chair, my lazy boy, so if my back started hurting, I could get in the lazy boy and ply, or I could sit in the camping chair and do some short forward draw for a while. And that's really what made it possible for me to keep going. But once I ran out of all that coop worth, I had to start really digging into my stash to find other things that I could spin quickly, because that was the whole goal, is quickly. And then I remembered I had some Crown Mountain fibers, which sadly you can't get anymore because they closed up shop. But I got a bunch of it, and I had some in Parendel, which I never tried Parendel before. So that's another thing. It encouraged me to try something that was just not on my top of my list to spin. But I pulled it out of the stash and did 8 ounces of Parendel. I will be playing that soon. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's like a lavender and a purple and a gray and a little bit of blue. I'm really looking forward to see how these look applied together. And then I pulled out of my stash some bats. I made a bat, or 2 bats, out of a Be Myself, oh, you can't see that color at all, but out of a Be Myself club braid, I split it up and I had made it into bats, and I had done that months ago and then never did anything with them. So I really had a good time plying that. I meant spinning and plying that. And see, it's just kind of fun and chunky, and it's just having a blast doing whatever, you know, and that was the most freeing and enjoyable part. I also pulled out some old Miss Babs that I had. That's a merino bamboo silk blend. And that went on the Reeves, and oh, that spun up so beautifully. I mean, like really easy drafting. Um, for me, what worked best was splitting it down into kind of like pinky size roving and then not pre-drafting. Because when I pre-drafted, it drafted too easy. So, but that was something I discovered because I hadn't yet spun this blend before, and you can't really see, but there's like some lavender in this and some green, a little bit of gray, and hopefully I'll get better pictures. The one thing I did on this is I'm not thrilled with the amount of plying. I think I want to add a little more twist to the ply. So I'm going to put this back on my Swift, and then I'm going to feed it through the mini spinner again. Get a little more twist in that ply. Oh, and then I was looking for something else that I thought would spin fast with minimal twist. And long staple fibers are best for that, like a Wensleydale, or I think that's right. Anyways, but a lot of times they're fibers that I don't gravitate towards. And I had some kid mohair in my stash, Hello Yarn, colorway Wither, and it was going to be a long time before I ever got around to spinning it. And I thought, you know what? I think that might be just the thing. So I pulled it out of the stash, and it's like green and gray, and it spun up really nice and fine and didn't need that much twist to hold together. And I don't like knitting with mohair, but I loved spinning this mohair fiber. So now I just got to figure out what I want to do with this bobbin of kid mohair. I might try some fun plying techniques, like some art yarn stuff with that. I don't know. I'm excited to try that out. Oh, and the last thing I wound up pulling out of my stash, because I'm like, what else am I going to spin? I literally almost ran out of stuff that would be fast spinning and not like a dyed fiber I was saving for something else. A few episodes back, I was talking about the Smoky Mountain Spinnery, and I had gotten 4 ounces of Morit Shetland and 4 ounces of Manx Lufton. And looking at them now, I'm not sure which is which. I think this one that's got more like, oh goodness, I don't know. They came out looking so similar, you would not know that these were different breeds. So I'm definitely plying these together, and in the midst of that, I discovered I loved spinning the Shetland, the natural Shetland. It was awesome, really enjoyed it, and will definitely be doing that again. In fact, I have a couple Shetland fleeces, but I may be on the lookout for a really super nice Shetland fleece at Rhinebeck. I don't currently have a lot of plans to buy a lot of yarn, but the fleeces, I may not be able to resist that, so we'll have to see how that goes. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, mainly I'm just really happy with the encouragement that everybody gave each other on our team board. Oh, I didn't mention the team I was spinning for was Team Knit Girls, so the Knit Girls podcast, and it was being captained by Laura and Leslie, and just everybody in there was so encouraging, and it was so much fun to see what everybody was spinning and how they were spinning it and the progress they were making. We had multiple spinners with over 10,000 yards, which is quite an accomplishment. But then we had others that, I mean, you know, it was their first time, and they were spinning, like I said earlier, they were spinning maybe lower amounts of yardage, but you know, everybody was doing their best, and that was the fun and important thing, was that everybody was just doing the best that they could, and spinning for the team, and I loved it. It was great. So yay to everyone on Team Knit Girls. Doesn't matter how it turns out, you did a great job, and I am super excited with how well we did. So hopefully they'll watch this, the people on my team. I'll have to post it in the team board, and maybe they'll take a look. But anyways, the last thing I spun that I didn't show, I'll show on a next future episode, was the Frabjous Fibers. I can't even remember what it's called. It's called like a, it's like a foot, no, it's like a yard of sheep or something like that. And what it is it's like this long plastic bag, and there's like 11 different colors in kind of a gradient of just under an ounce each. So it turns out that even though there's 11 colors, you wind up with 8 ounces of fiber. And I'm spinning their BFL. I'm finishing it up on the mini spinner right now. But that BFL, I mean, it was so pleasant to spin. Like, seriously, Frabjous Fibers, it was, I'm shocked it was BFL. I think the tag just said BFL, but I'm thinking it had to be Superwash BFL. So I'm going to have to go double check, because as I was drafting that fiber, I was thinking, there is no way that this is not Superwash. But anyways, I guess I just want to end with encouraging y'all to try new things. Reach into your stash for things you might not have tried before. And don't think too much about it. Just go for it. Just start spinning, see what happens, and have a blast. If you're not having fun, what's the point, right? So anyways, thank you so much for joining me, for sticking it out all the way to the end of the episode if you're still with me. And I cannot wait to come back and post and talk to y'all again after Rhinebeck. Bye. See you later.